Philadelphia. It's the second of a three-game interleague series between the first-place Philadelphia Phillies and the Boston Red Sox. Good evening, everybody. We welcome you to a special primetime edition of Fox Saturday Baseball. Kenny Albert along with Eric Karros. The Red Sox and the Phillies have won two of the last three World Series. High hopes for both ball clubs here in 2010. And while the Red Sox have struggled a bit during the first quarter of this season, the Phillies, Eric, have the best record in the National League.
Well, you talk to a lot of the experts, and prior to this season, the Phillies and Red Sox looked like a good pick for the World Series. Well, the Phillies have started off well. They've got the best record in the National League. They're being led by the big man, Ryan Howard. In 13 games against the Red Sox, 6 home runs, 14 RBIs. He did it again last night. Home run, RBI hit as well. He's swinging the bat well.
Well, the Phillies won last night's game thanks in part to Ryan Howard and Jason Worth, who both went deep 5-1. Red Sox looking for revenge tonight. It's the Phillies and Red Sox in prime time next on Fox. Away from the Phillies and the Red Sox. Red Sox come in with a record of 22-21, fourth place in the American League East. Their batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Red Sox happy to have Jacoby Ellsbury back tonight. Off the disabled list, he will lead off and play center field. Dustin Pedroia hits second, followed by J.D. Drew. David Ortiz starting at first base for the first time this season. In the cleanup spot, then third baseman Adrian Beltre, left fielder Jeremy Hermida. Bottom of the order, the catcher Jason Varitek, shortstop Marco Scudero, and the pitcher Daisuke Matsuzaka. As the Red Sox get set to face 25-year-old right-hander Kyle Kendrick, who comes in with a record of 2-1. Tonight's game brought to you by Budweiser, official beer of the Thirst Inning, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do. Kyle Kendrick getting set to make his ninth start this season, tied a career high by pitching 8 innings in his last outing, Eric, on Monday against the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, he threw the ball well. For him to be effective, he's got to get on the mound and just throw. When he starts taking his time, Charlie Manuel has noted he's not real effective. Get it and throw it. A sinker ball pitcher. It's one thing to have the ball diving down in the zone, but against his predominantly left-handed hitting lineup, he's got to get movement from each side of the plate.
He has faced the Red Sox twice, once as a starter and once out of the pen. Jacoby Ellsbury steps in, and the first pitch from Kendrick is a called strike. 0-1. Ellsbury playing for the first time at the major league level since April 11th. Has played in only 6 games this season for the Red Sox due to the chest contusion and bruised ribs.
Yeah, Terry Francona talking about Ellsbury. He says he has game-changing speed. That's different than being just fast.
He led all of baseball and set a franchise record last season with 70 stolen bases.
Well, and that's something that this Red Sox ball club doesn't have. They do not run, and especially when he's not around, wow, talk about a station-to-station team.
The 2-1 from Kendrick. Left center field. And the catch is made by the left fielder, Raul Ibanez, for out number 1. Let's check out the Phillies in the field, brought to you by Scott's. The aforementioned Ibanez, along with Vic Barrino and Worth from left to right of the outfield. Ryan Howard at first. Chase Utley at second. Jimmy Rollins back on the DL. So Juan Castro starts at shortstop. And Placido Polanco at third. The battery of Kendrick and Ruiz. With one away, here's Dustin Pedroia, and he takes strike 1. Pedroia 0 for 4 in last night's game, batting .275 this season. We mentioned Jimmy Rollins back on the disabled list. Came off the DL earlier this week, played in 4 games, and re-aggravated his calf strain last night. Fastball in for a called strike. 1-2 with J.D. Drew waiting on deck. There's Jimmy Rollins in the Phillies dugout.
And was having a nice 4 games since he'd come back. Hit a home run the other day, swinging the bat well. And that's the thing with both of these clubs. They have not had their full complement of players for any period of time this year.
We take you back to the 6th inning of last night's game.
Right here, a base hit, just coming out of the box. It's that right calf, and you see, puts the pressure on it to push off and go towards first. Nothing out of the ordinary. Again, just strained it.
The 1-2 on the ground to Rollins' replacement, Juan Castro. And he throws across to Ryan Howard for out number 2.
Juan Castro, one of the steadiest fielding shortstops in the game. Vince Scully, the famed announcer of the Los Angeles Dodgers, said Castro has manos de oro, hands of gold. And that he does.
If you hear the boos in the background, they are for J.D. Drew. 13 years later, fans here in Philadelphia do not forget that J.D. was drafted by the Phillies in the first round, 2nd overall, back in '97, but did not sign. Went back into the draft and was chosen with the 5th overall pick by the Cardinals the next season. Of course, the Phillies manager in '97 when they drafted J.D. Drew was Terry Francona.
Ironic.
The 0-2, Kendrick missing inside, now 1-2.
When you see Kendrick throwing that ball, you see Terry Francona right there. Having to manage a lot of personalities this year early on. Kendrick tried to run that last sinker over the inner half of the plate.
Francona juggling his lineup this weekend, playing in the National League ballpark.
Well, it's tough. You lose the DH, and
He's got a number of guys that he's trying to get at-bats for. Not very versatile as far as positions they can play in the field. It makes the managing job tough.
The 2-2, and Drew drives it out to deep center field, but it will stay in the ballpark. The catch is made by Victorino. A 1-2-3 first for Kyle Kendrick. The first inning, the Phillies batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Phillies with a record of 26-15. Shane Victorino, the center fielder, leads off, followed by the third baseman Placido Polanco. Chase Utley, the second baseman, will hit third. Ryan Howard in the cleanup spot. Then Jason Worth, the two-run homer in last night's game. Left fielder Raul Ibanez bats sixth. And the bottom of the order, the catcher Carlos Ruiz, the shortstop Juan Castro, and the pitcher Kyle Kendrick, as the Phillies face 29-year-old right-hander Daisuke Matsuzaka, making his fifth start. Began the season on the disabled list due to a strained back. Daisuke with a record of 2-1, but check out that earned run average.
Yeah, not good. And one of the reasons he has that big earned run average is he always has that one inning that just seems to get him. And I'm talking 4, 5, 6, 7 runs. He's got to avoid that. He's got to also hit his spots. He had a little trouble with Victor Martinez in his last start. He wasn't happy with the pitch selection. But at the end of the day, I don't care what pitch you're throwing, you can't leave it over the middle of the plate, and that's exactly what he did.
You mentioned the big innings. He allowed 5 first-inning runs in his last start at Yankee Stadium on Monday. Allowed 6 runs in the fifth in a game in Baltimore, 4 runs in the first against the Angels. And Shane Victorino takes a called strike, 0-1. Victorino back in the leadoff spot in the absence of Jimmy Rollins. Victorino 1 for 2 in last night's game. 4th in the National League with 33 runs batted in. The 0-1 from Matsuzaka. Center field. First opportunity for Jacoby Ellsbury. One away. The Red Sox defensively brought to you by Scott's. From left to right of the outfield, Hermida, Ellsbury, and Drew. David Ortiz at first base tonight. Pedroia at second, Scudero at short, Beltre at third, and the battery, Eric, of Matsuzaka and Jason Varitek.
And Varitek gets a call tonight, gets some at-bats in there, but, Terry Francona won't admit it, but it's got to be also to give Matsuzaka some confidence. Get him out there. He's comfortable throwing to Varitek. Just a great opportunity all around to get him in there. You see Victor Martinez, who has been hot as heck swinging the bat. Really tough to sit him down. 9 for his last 20.
The 0-1 to Polanco. Missing away 1-1, and Matsuzaka and Martinez have certainly had their issues.
Well, they have. It's one of those things. If a pitcher feels comfortable throwing to one guy, whether it's right, wrong, or whatever, if he believes that, then it is what it is. That pitcher has the ball, and you want him to feel as confident as possible. You know, right now with the starting staff, they need Matsuzaka to throw well, and you see the differential there. You're talking about a 11 ERA this year. And it's such a small sample size, and they may get things ironed out, but right now you just got to get the ball rolling as far as Matsuzaka having some success.
1-2. Polanco fouls it off to the right side. Matsuzaka won 33 games his first 2 seasons in the majors, 15-12 in 2007, 18-3 in 2008. Started only 12 games last year due to shoulder problems. And tonight making his 5th start in 2010. Here's the 1-2 to Polanco with Chase Utley waiting on deck. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Really like this pickup by the Phillies. Polanco, guy that can do everything, playing third, plays second. You call him a professional hitter. He can drive in a run, he can hit behind the runner. Good contact guy.
Full count. Polanco back in Philadelphia, where he spent 4 seasons and played the last 5 in Detroit for the Tigers. A look at the numbers this season for the Phillies. 1 and 2 hitters in the order. Payoff pitch from Matsuzaka, and it's fouled off to the right side. Ortiz gives chase, but it lands in the 5th row. The umpires tonight, Ed Hickok's behind the plate. Fielding Culbreth at first base. Marty Foster at second. And the crew chief, Gary Cedarstrom, is at third. Bottom of the 1st inning, 1 out. Payoff pitch to Polanco. Another foul off to the right.
That's the thing. Polanco, very tough to strike out. Very good at putting the bat on the ball, fouling off the tough pitches. It goes back to that old adage, the more pitches you make that pitcher throw, the more chance you have of him making a mistake.
Polanco takes ball 4. Phillies have a 1-out base runner following a 9-pitch at bat. So with Chase Utley stepping to the plate, do you want to see your name on air? Play MLB on Fox. Tune in to win now on foxsports.com/tunein. Make your predictions during tonight's game between the Red Sox and Phillies, but you must hurry. Your predictions must be submitted by the end of the 2nd inning. Stick around to increase your chances of winning with the 7th inning bonus question. Winners will be announced on air during the 9th inning tonight. Log on to foxsports.com/tunein to play now. So Polanco takes his lead off first. And the first pitch to Utley. Matsuzaka misses inside. Ball 1. Chase batting .308. Leads the team with 10 home runs. And is second in the National League in runs scored.
You see Polanco leading off, and then you see the other thing, David Ortiz at first base. You've got that left-handed hitter up. Ortiz doesn't play a lot of first base. Just in pregame when he takes some ground balls once in a while. But this is something that, you know, it's one thing to go over there and you catch the throws from the infielders, but there's a lot of nuances. If you're not playing every single day over there, it's a difficult position to play.
Driven foul down the right field line. Ortiz was not in the starting lineup last night. He pinch hit late in the game. Here's Kevin Youkilis, who has the night off. Ortiz started 6 games at first base during interleague play last season. But Terry Francona wanted his bat in the Red Sox lineup tonight. Time called by the home plate umpire, Ed Hickox. Polanco, the runner on first with one out. 1-2 to Utley, fouled back to the screen. Ryan Howard looming on deck. Matsuzaka facing the Phillies for the second time. Started here in Philadelphia last June 13th. Allowed 4 runs in 4 innings and was not involved in the decision. Utley into the right field corner. Just foul. Nice catch by a Phillies fan in the front row.
Utley out earlier in the week battling a bit of the flu. Says he's feeling all right, but usually takes a few games to get your strength back, get your timing back. I've said it before. I think he is the best player in baseball that has not won an MVP.
Line drive is caught by Pedroia. The throw to first for the double play. Terrific catch by the second baseman, Dustin Pedroia, climbing the ladder. No score in Philly. Think outside the bun by the all-new 2011 Super Duty, built Ford Tough, and by the makers of Zantac. Beat that heartburn heat. Zantac. Back in Philadelphia, Kenny Albert with Eric Karros. One more look at the terrific play made by 5'9" second baseman Dustin Pedroia on our Fox Exmo.
Yeah, Pedroia showing some hops right there and throwing it over to first. Catching Victorino or Polanco, one of the two. Polanco. The impressive thing, this man got back over to first base and was able to catch it.
Staying alert out in the field. And now he will lead off for the Red Sox in the top of the second inning against Kyle Kendrick. Last night, Ortiz came to the plate as a pinch hitter. in the ninth inning with the bases loaded and fly out to center field to the deepest part of the ballpark.
Yeah, and look at those differences that April start. It's been well chronicled. A lot of people questioning whether or not he could still hit at the productive level. And, a lot of these questions were brought on because of last year. He struggled last year out of the gate for much longer, but finished the year strong. I think what it is, too, a lot of people still have the expectations of Big Papi with the 40 home runs, the 120, 130 RBIs, and that's just not going to happen. But 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, still a feared hitter, a slugger. I mean, there's no reason why that isn't possible.
He drove in 99 last season after the slow start. Two one from Kendrick. Now 2-2. With Kevin Youkilis out of the starting lineup tonight, Ortiz batting in the cleanup spot for the first time this season. He'll be followed here in the second by Beltre and Hermida. 2-2, fastball just missing inside, so the count is now full.
Well, trying to run that sinker in at the waist of the left-handed hitter. The left-handed hitter gives up on it. It shoots back over the plate, just missing inside, though.
Payoff pitch from Kendrick, a leadoff walk to Ortiz. Time for a DirecTV game break as we head to Los Angeles. Chris Rose and Kevin Millar, guys. All right, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Kevin.
Who do you think wins that race between Prince Fielder and Kevin Millar?
Well, I know Kevin spent some time this season with the St. Paul Saints, so he's been in training.
I'll say it again. Who do you think wins that race?
Popped up. Ruiz, the catcher, is called off by Ryan Howard, one away. What was the question again?
See right here, Ruiz going out. He's got it. But now Ryan Howard, if he calls it, the catcher has to give way. There's an order. Second baseman gets it over the first baseman. Shortstop is king of the infield. If there's ever a problem, the pitcher is out there directing traffic.
So you would take precedence over Piazza, huh?
Yeah. And, a lot of the second basemen, too, if you're taller than the second baseman, you can just trump them with the height.
Which Howard was able to do with his catcher, Ruiz. One out, Ortiz on at first. Jeremy Hermida batting .228 in his first season with the Red Sox. After 8 years in the Marlins organization. And as you saw, he's faced Kendrick 13 times during his career in the National League with 4 hits, including a home run. A called strike 3. First strikeout for Kyle Kendrick.
Kendrick doing a nice job of moving the ball around the zone. It's just a nasty pitch. Not much you can do as a hitter right there.
So with 2 away, Eric, we check out our 4 keys to tonight's game.
Boston has got to limit the walks. It's one thing that pitching staff has been doing a lot more this year than it has in the past. giving free passes. Jacoby Ellsbury, welcome back. You get that offense started up top. Phillies will probably get a lot of ground balls today with Kendrick pitching. Catch the ball, don't make the errors. You know what? This Philly ball club the last few years has run an awful lot. They're not doing it a lot this year. Victorino, the only one with more than 2 stolen bases. Get those track shoes on. You got the best first base coach in Davey Lopes. Start running.
Phillies 15th, next to last in the National League in steals this year. 2 outs with Ortiz on at first. The 0-1 to Jason Varitek and a base hit into right field. Ortiz will hold at second, so the Red Sox now with 2 on, 2 out for the shortstop Marco Scutaro.
Varitek has been hitting this year. He came into tonight with only 41 at-bats. He had 6 home runs and 10 RBI. You know, and it's interesting, too, because there are a number of guys that are looking for playing time, need at-bats, feel like they can still contribute, and they voice their opinion, their displeasure. The one guy that hasn't said a word, that man right there, the captain, Jason Varitek. He's just gone out there and hit.
David Ortiz and Mike Lowell, 2 of the guys you're talking about, who have been quoted recently regarding playing time.
You see Mikey Lowell right there. Yeah, and I think he's got a legitimate point. You know, what is his role on this ball club? You know, he had a game where he went out 4 for 4. Couldn't be any more perfect than that, and then not in the lineup the next day. Doesn't get a lot of spot starts. You know, almost an insurance policy if somebody goes down. He can still play. Again, he's not at the level that he was a few years ago, but says he feels pretty good.
Drove in 75 runs in 119 games last year for the Red Sox. Now 2-1. Scutaro batting .261. But has driven in only 7 runs in 165 at bats. 2 on, 2 out, top of the second inning here in Philadelphia. Scutaro, right field, and coming on is Worth, and he makes the catch to retire the side. The Red Sox ran 2 in the second, middle of the second inning. We are scoreless. Budweiser with full flavor and a crisp, clean finish. It's what we do. Bottom of the second inning here in Philadelphia. Jimmy Rollins back on the disabled list, but he's wearing a microphone for us today. Let's listen to his conversation during the last inning with Ryan Howard.
Hey, Ryan, they can bring it to you. You're not going to get Van. He's going to be relying on you to go after his stuff. You know what I'm saying? Make it be close to you, like you've been doing. But we'll get him out by the fifth inning with 115 pitches because he'll do it to himself if you let him.
Jimmy Rollins talking about the pitch count, and the Phillies fouled off 7 pitches from Matsuzaka in the first inning.
Well, and historically, Matsuzaka can get erratic at the plate. Now, that's a great piece of advice.
Gave up the 5 first-inning runs in his last start. Took him 25 pitches. Recorded out on Monday. He walked Polanco in the first inning, but then Utley lined into a double play. The 0-2, and Howard takes a called strike 3.
Well, obviously not looking for that pitch right there, unable to pull the swing through a breaking ball. But how about that? Jimmy Rollins' advice, go up there, see some pitches, make them work. That was 3 pitches. 3 and out. And if Matsuzaka is throwing like that, you've got to go after him. He is around the plate. Go up there and swing it.
Jason Worth was swinging last night. 2 more hits, including his 9th home run of the season. The 1-0. In for strike 1. Well, Jason Worth has reached base in all but 3 of his 41 games this season. We can't guarantee that he'll reach base tonight, but did you know that Valvoline can guarantee your engine up to 300,000 miles? A 1-1 for Matsuzaka, and it's ripped foul off to the right side. Valvoline, the first and only motor oil in the industry to guarantee your engine up to 300,000 miles. See those signs behind Worth in the stands referring to a couple of the other Boston teams?
I missed that. So did he.
Second consecutive strikeout for Matsuzaka. One of them referred to the New England Patriots, and the other referred to the Boston Bruins predicament last week, having blown a 3-0 lead over the Philadelphia Flyers.
Well, you go down in history, not on the end you want to be on, but not many teams that have done that.
Red Sox were 1 on the positive side back in 2004, trailing the Yankees 0-3. Coming back to win the next 4. First and only team in Major League Baseball history to come back from 0-3 in a 7-game series. One and one now on Ibanez. 3 for 13 with a home run in his career against Matsuzaka.
See those career numbers. This is a guy that 2 weeks ago starting to swing the bat well. The management thought that he was turning the corner and going to get going like he did last year, but he still hasn't gotten hot. And this is a guy that's capable of driving in 90 runs, hitting 25 to 30 home runs.
Separated at birth, perhaps? The 3-1 in for strike 2. Matsuzaka has already struck out Howard and Worth here in the bottom of the second inning.
Again, not a 3-1 pitch as a hitter. It's got to be something right down the middle, something that you're looking for. Something on the corner, you still got another strike.
Ibanez draws a 2-out walk. Second walk issued by Matsuzaka tonight.
Hey, he's a star there. Look at that.
At least one of his friends is watching.
Somebody probably calling his wife or girlfriend. Hey, you're on too. Look at that. I'm still on. They're showing me right now.
So Ibanez on at first with his look-alike, getting texts and phone calls and tweets, I'm sure.
Doesn't even have to enter the contest. Doesn't even have to answer a trivia question. He's done the two.
Well, he won't hear his name, though.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So Ibanez takes his lead off first. Carlos Ruiz just one for his last 13. Long foul to the right side, 1-1.
Well, you mentioned 1 for 13. He's coming off a knee strain, but even with that 1 for 13, you know, the on-base percentage has been great this year. And this is batting predominantly in that 8th spot ahead of the pitcher. He's really done a nice job. Kind of the unsung hero of this ball club.
Matsuzaka missing high, 2-1. Two balls, two strikes. For exclusive information, analysis, and breaking news, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and MySpace. Log on to twitter.com/MLB on Fox, Facebook.com/Fox Sports, or MySpace.com/Fox Sports. Runner goes, the 2-2 on the ground to the shortstop, Scudero. Ruiz is retired, and the Phillies are retired in the second. We'll return to Philadelphia after these messages from your local Fox station. You're still on. Prime time. Red Sox certainly happy that this game is being played at night. There, 8 games over 500 at night this season. 20-12, just 2-9 during the day.
Tough to get up in that afternoon and go out and play. And, you know, there is something to be said about that. You get so acclimated to playing night games. When you do have a day game, it throws off the routine.
Phillies, on the other hand, 17-9 at night, 9-6 during the day. Daisuke Matsuzaka batting for the first time this season. He's 0 for 8 in his career during the regular season, but he had a big hit, a 2-run single in Game 3 of the 2007 World Series.
Well, I was a little surprised last inning that Kendrick went after Scudero with runners on first and second. Matsuzaka on deck. But he was able, he gambled, he got away with it. You know, Scudero lined to right. Jason Worth came in and made a nice play. But again, when you're facing these American League teams, these pitchers are usually hitting for the first time. They don't have a number of at-bats. That's a distinct advantage for the National League ball clubs. But when you are playing, obviously, in the National League parks.
The 2-2 from Kendrick. Daisuke gets the bat on it. An interleague grand slam last night for Brad Penny of the Cardinals.
And he got a hold of one. Unfortunately for him and the Cardinals, he ended up coming out of the game. He got some back spasms. Had some back trouble earlier in the week, but felt like he aggravated it on that swing. I guess if you're going to go down with a granny.
Yeah, might as well. Matsuzaka gets the bat on it. And it drops in for his first regular season hit. As we mentioned, he did have a 2-run single in Game 3 of the World Series. David Ortiz likes it.
Well, you know, our host back in the studio, Kevin Millar, was saying he gets a kick out of watching the pitchers hit in interleague. You see just that big leg kick and then just swing. And look at the guys there. But you're talking about watching the pitchers hit. You want to see something even funnier. Let's watch him run the bases. This is going to be an adventure.
Strike one to Ellsbury. So Daisuke with a base hit before he has allowed one tonight.
Yeah, interesting. Well, and I say, you know, you go back to the base running here. At least with the batting practice or the hitting, you could take batting practice. You know, you're not practicing running the bases. You know, especially an American League pitcher, no reason to run the bases.
A 1-1, now 1-2. The New York Yankees lost Chen-Min Wang a couple of years ago, running the bases down in Houston. That was essentially the end of his Yankee career, now a member of the Washington Nationals. Ellsbury fly to left his first time up. The 1-2, and he gets a hold of this one. Deep right field. Worth is back on the track, and he makes the catch just in front of the out-of-town scoreboard. So Ellsbury is retired on a long fly to right. Matsuzaka returns to first.
Well, he doesn't get all of it. Worth gets back to the track, and Matsuzaka does a nice job of running the bases here. He does it correctly. He gets off far enough where if Jason Worth doesn't make the catch, he'll easily get to third. He's not going to tag up in that situation because there's no way that he's going to outrun Jason Worth's arm. But absolutely correct in the way he approached the base pass in that situation. He has been on base before.
Dustin Pedroia grounded to short his first time up. And Pedroia with a drive into the left field corner, just foul.
That ball just missing a few feet to the right, would have been out. But interesting, you know, 7 of the 8 balls that have been put in play today have been in the air. You know, Kendrick known for his sinker when he's throwing well. Now, this is not a ballpark that you want to have the ball in the air all the time.
A look at Pedroia's player profile, favorite movie, Major League. Loves Jack Bauer. And if not in baseball, Eric, it would be a bodybuilder. Here's Castro to second for one, on to first, double play. 6-4-3. Kendrick out of the inning. Gave him some encouragement in the dugout.
You got for me today, Juan. See? Couple doubles, little nasty RBIs like you always do. 2 outs. Throw that. Hey, you know what? You be going deep in batting practice all the time, but you're always trying to hit singles to right in the game. What's up? You got a 0 up there. Yeah, you do. You got to take a chance every once in a while.
Jimmy referring to the 0 in the home run column.
I'm watching that, and Milt Thompson, the hitting coach for the Philadelphia Phillies, is in the background. And I'm sure he's just cringing, going, you got to be kidding me. Don't be telling him to go up there and swing for the fence. Take those singles to right all day long. Go up there and try and hit a home run. That's the worst thing you could do. It's one of those things as a hitter, you go up there and maybe 20 at-bats, you'll do it during the course of a season. If you get a hold of one, that's the only one you remember. Like, yeah, I tried to hit a home run, but the other 19, you're striking out or grounding to short.
He hit 1 home run for the Dodgers last year in 57 games, 36 career home runs in over 1,000 Major League games, but Jimmy said he saw him go deep in batting practice.
Yeah, I remember Ted Williams used to come every once in a while down to spring training, and Vero, he'd see Tommy Lasorda, but he used to say the most surprised person in the park when a home run is hit should be the hitter. And it makes sense. You go up there, you try to do that sort of thing. You just, like I said, it may happen once in a blue moon, but not that simple. This isn't 5 o'clock batting practice.
Two. And Castro is down on strikes. 3rd strikeout for Daisuke Matsuzaka. Time now for a DirecTV game break. Once again, Chris Rose and Kevin Millar. Well, Kevin, you get to see another pitcher hit right here. It's Kyle Kendrick at the plate with one out, looking to return the favor to Matsuzaka.
Yeah, I'm just wondering with those two in the studio, Chris Rose and Kevin Millar, the amount of time that was spent getting their hair done, probably while they were getting their hair done, the foot massage and hand massage. Probably ordering dinner right about now, too, trying to decide what restaurant they're going to eat.
Sneaking in a little baseball in between the orders.
What a cush job, that studio stuff. Wow!
Here's the 1-1 to Kendrick, who is 0 for 13 this season. 13 career base hits. Kendrick gets the bat on it, fouls it off to the right side. You know, we heard Jimmy Rollins giving Juan Castro some advice on the bench. Jimmy has played a large role in the recording career of his 21-year-old cousin, Chanel Nicole, an aspiring recording artist in the Bay Area up in Northern California. Just 21 years of age, and unfortunately Rollins back on the disabled list as Kendrick fouls another one off to the right side, because last night, for the first time, when he went to the plate, his cousin's music was coming out of the PA system here in Philadelphia. Her hit song, Fire. And Jimmy very proud of Chanel, who will be here in Philadelphia next month, taking part in the Summer Jam Festival on June 13th, called strike 3. So Kendrick is retired. Fourth strikeout for Matsuzaka.
Matsuzaka off to a nice start. One time through the lineup so far. Got 4 strikeouts. Double play ball. You know, and outside of that ball that Chase Utley lined to Dustin Pedroia at second base for a double play, the Phillies really have not had good swings.
Here's Shane Victorino flying to center his first time up. One and one. Victorino batting .309 during the month of May, after a bit of a slow start. One and two.
Matsuzaka's been able to throw that backdoor curveball to the left-handed hitters. You got Ryan Howard earlier. There he froze Victorino.
Beltre. And the Phillies are retired in order. We take it a break with a sampling from Jimmy Rollins' cousin, Chanel Nicole. Of Major League Baseball. By Valvoline, guarantee your engine up to 300,000 miles. And by Holiday Inn, the official partner of Major League Baseball road trips. Top of the fourth inning here in Philadelphia with no score. Kenny Albert, Eric Karros. A special primetime edition of Fox Saturday Baseball. J.D. Drew leading off for the Red Sox. Fly to center. His first time up. And Drew singles up the middle. Third hit of the game for the Red Sox. We spoke moments ago with Phillies hitting coach Milt Thompson. And we asked Milt about the performance of Red Sox starter Daisuke Matsuzaka so far tonight.
He's really pounding the strike zone today. In tape earlier, he seems to be, throwing balls and trying to hit the corners. But he's on tonight, so we've got to get ready to hit, getting ready to hit that first fastball.
So when you think of the Phillies offense, it's Howard, it's Worth, Utley, Rollins. Carlos Ruiz having a pretty nice season this year, huh?
He's doing a great job. Around the fourth or fifth year in the league, you start to mature a little bit, and he's got the confidence now. You'll see him up there taking the first pitches early in the count because he knows he can hit.
Thanks, Bill. Best of luck.
All right, take care, guys.
Our thanks to Milt Thompson with David Ortiz at the plate. Red Sox have the leadoff man on for the third consecutive inning. Ortiz now behind in the count, 0-2. David walked his first time up. Drew on at first following a leadoff single. Adrian Beltre waiting on deck. And the 0-2 from Kendrick.
You see, tried to bust him hard inside, going up and in. Just letting know David Ortiz, making him aware of that inside pitch. He's not throwing it there for a strike. You see Ortiz just fights that off. But now you've got him set up because he's going to be thinking inside. Very easy to run that sinker low and away right now.
There it is.
So now as a hitter, he just misses this pitch on the outer part of the plate, which is a good pitch right there. Again, you're ahead in the count. So now you've got the hitter thinking, is he going to come back outside? Is he going to bust in? You've really put the hitter in a defensive mode. With a guy like Ortiz, that's exactly where you want him. David's been much better on the road, almost 300. A lot of that has to do with just pressing, trying to please the fans, the hometown fans.
Knocked down by Howard. Gets the lead runner, Drew, at second. So the Phillies nearly able to turn two.
That's the biggest fear for a first baseman, is having to hold a runner on with a big, slugging, left-handed hitter at the plate, because you're that much closer to the hitter. And then when the hitter does pull it, it almost shoots out of his body because he's got his back turned to you. Very tough to react. Usually has some tailing action or some downward action. Not a lot of fun.
Beltre, you think Ortiz saying to Howard, I'm glad that was you and not me playing first base.
I'll tell you, I think Ortiz is saying, come on, bud, you got to help a fellow first baseman out. We're both in the group here. Got to let that go by, make a good effort, make it look good. Ryan Howard just saying that was self-defense.
Looked initially like he had a chance to catch it.
Shoot, that ball caught him. He didn't care. That was all self-defense down
there. Kendrick missing high, 1-2.
Again, Ryan Howard coming off, and You can see he's almost trying to get out of the way a little bit, moving that right leg in. And again, it's not just a straight line drive. It's got some downward action, some movement.
Beltre pulls this one into the left field corner. It's a fair ball. Ortiz holds at third. Beltre in at second. Red Sox threatening with second and third. Only one out here in the fourth as we head west for another DirecTV game break with Chris Rose and Kevin Millar.
I knew it. I'm telling you. They didn't say anything about the hand massage there.
Jeremy Hermida takes ball one. We do have a message for Kevin Millar from Red Sox skipper Terry Francona.
Yeah, he was surprised that he felt the network must really be desperate that we hired you and got you in studio. I told him you were doing it just for the free highlight of the hair, though.
Kevin, of course, a member of the world champion Red Sox ball club back in 2004. But your former skipper was asking about you.
Yes, he was. I think he could probably use you in that clubhouse right now.
Chris told us about the Mets' 3-0 lead over the Yankees. Yankees won the series opener last night 2-1. Here's the 3-0 called strike. Kevin Russo drove in both Yankee runs last night. You may be wondering who exactly is Kevin Russo.
I have a feeling I'm going to find out.
First major league hit. First major league RBIs. Hermida left field. Ibanez is under it. Ortiz heading home. And the throw to the plate is not in time. The Red Sox take a 1-0 lead. Sacrifice fly. RBI number 23 for Jeremy Hermida. Here comes Charlie Manuel.
Well, an aggressive move by third base coach Timmy Bogart. Ibanez not known for having the strongest arm, but he gets a nice throw in there. I have a feeling they're going to appeal the play at third base. You can see the big man gets his feet in there. The tag is up high, but not sure if they're going to go to third and appeal that Ortiz may have left early. Yeah, here they go. It was very close at third. Home plate umpire making that call. Take a look here. He's fine right there. Got his foot on the bag.
So the Red Sox strike first here in the top of the fourth inning. Jason Varitek at the plate, singled his first time up. Takes a called strike, 0-1. Red Sox led last night's game 1-0. They scored a run in the first inning as Victor Martinez took Cole Hamels deep. But the Phillies would go on to win the game 5-1. 0-2 to Varitek. Fastball missing inside. 1-2. Drew led off the inning with a single. He was erased at second. On the fielder's choice hit into by Ortiz. Beltre with a double to left. And then a Jeremy Hermida sacrifice fly. Driving in the game's first run. Kendrick missing inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Veritek was behind in the count 0-2. After 3 consecutive balls, the count is now full.
Well, and this is a situation where it's okay to walk Veritek. Veritek is a guy that can hurt you. You leave something out over the plate, especially with 2 outs. He hits this out of the ballpark. It's 2 runs. It's okay to put him in first and start over with Scudero.
Will Polanco have room? No. Jason Veritek starting behind the plate with Daisuke Matsuzaka on the mound. So much made this week of the communication issues between Matsuzaka and Victor Martinez, and Daisuke has sailed through the first 3 innings. Beltre the runner on second with 2 outs. Kendrick steps off.
Again, this is where you still want to make the perfect pitch. Hit a corner, maybe a breaking ball, but don't leave something that you can get hurt with a shot out of the park.
Veritek gets a piece of it to stay alive.
See him working the outside corner right there. Not a large sample there, only 3 at-bats, but again, what we were talking about, not a lot of playing time this year, but man, oh man, has he been productive. See Scudero on deck.
25th pitch of this inning by Kendrick. And he will throw a 26th.
That's one of the things this Boston ball club does. It's no secret. Wear down the opposing pitcher, elevate the pitch counts, get into the bullpen. They play a game of attrition.
And Veritek strikes out a 9-pitch at bat. Second strikeout for Kendrick, but the Red Sox take a 1-0 lead here in Philadelphia. Fourth inning here in Philadelphia. A run on 4 base hits for the Red Sox. Zeros across for the Phillies as Placido Polanco leads off against Daisuke Matsuzaka. Polanco walked back in the first inning and then was erased on a double play. Polanco, Utley, and Howard for the Phillies here in the fourth.
Two pitches, 34 for strikes. Not missing that plate at all.
High and tight to Polanco, 2-1.
You know, that's one of the things with Matsuzaki. He's got good stuff. He's a fastball, breaking ball. You know, it doesn't matter how good your repertoire is. If you can't get it over the plate, big league hitters will just wait you out all day long.
Matsuzaka missing high, ball 3, 3-1. Polanco takes ball 4. Third walk issued by Matsuzaka tonight. We spoke moments ago with Red Sox skipper Terry Francona, and we asked him about the performance of his starter so far tonight.
I'll tell you what, his fastball there's a lot of power coming out of it. And we've actually seen a better fastball this year. There's been 3 innings in the mix that were, we got nicked up a little bit, but he's actually been pretty good. He's in good shape. Again, you see the same fastball we're seeing right now.
Question for you. In the interleague games, the pitchers, they have to hit, but what do you do to prepare your team for when they get on base and have to run the bases?
Well, I guess first of all, we're glad they're on. We take the progression pretty slow, though. The last thing you want to see is a pitcher get hurt. We spend the majority of time trying to get them just to punch, and if they get a hit, it's kind of a plus. The one thing we try to stay away from, joking aside, is just not making quick outs. Try to make the pitcher work a little bit.
Okay, thanks, Derek.
All right, guys.
Eric referring to Matsuzaka's base hit leading off back in the third inning. His first career hit in the regular season. Polanco back in at first.
Well, we were talking about that earlier, the base running with the pitchers. And you mentioned Shin-Ming Wong, the Yankees a few years ago. Hurt himself running the bases and hadn't been the same since. Now with the Washington Nationals.
Nothing and 2 on Utley. You mentioned earlier during Utley's at bat in the first inning, you feel he's the best player in baseball that has never won the most valuable player award.
Yeah, he does everything. Hits for power, very patient hitter, excellent defensive player, stole 20 bases last year. But on this ball club, sometimes he's overshadowed by the Ryan Howard, who's won an MVP, Jimmy Rollins. He hasn't had that just monster year, but man, oh man, he has put up some numbers.
0-2, Utley gets the bat on it. Well, he has not won an MVP award just yet, but he will be inducted into the UCLA Hall of Fame, joining the likes of Eric Karros, who was inducted back in 1998 along with Reggie Miller.
Yeah, and the way Chase's career is going right now, it's got a path to Cooperstown. That's the type of player he is. Forget just the physical attributes, the statistics, but you talk to any one of his teammates or his manager, he's a grinder. He plays like he's the 25th guy on the team, like he's trying to make the ball club.
Another foul.
I think you can expand that characteristic with the majority of these Phillies players. They're winning ball players. Talk about second baseman, the company that he's in. Most consecutive seasons with 100 or more RBI, Jeff Kent, Charlie Gehringer, and there you see Chase Utley. But getting back to this Philly ball club, I mean, they're superstar players, but they are all baseball players. They're grinders. They're going to go out and outwork you.
Only with a drive, deep left center. And the catch is made on the warning track up against the wall by Hermida. So one away here in the Phillies' fourth. As Utley is retired. Next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, many of you will see Albert Pujols and the Cardinals as they take on the Cubs in a showdown between NL Central rivals. Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Budweiser, returns next week at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on Fox. With one away, here's Ryan Howard, who was called out on strikes back in the second inning. Howard has reached base in 16 consecutive games. 9 hits in his last 20 at-bats, including a home run last night. His 8th of the season. Take it back to the 4th inning last night with John Lackey on the mound. One of 2 home runs off Philly bats in last night's game. Ellsbury makes the catch in right center for the second out of the inning. Well, nationwide, thousands of communities have gotten involved as Chevy and Scott's have set out to rebuild local ballparks. Don't miss your chance to get involved and to win a new Chevy at ChevyBaseball.com. With Polanco on at first and 2 away, here's Jason Worth, who struck out his first time up. Worth has been an extra base hit machine this season, leading the National League with 30 extra base hits. 9 home runs, 21 doubles.
Now, Marty Aronoff, our crack statistician up here, just handed me a note. Those 21 doubles put him on pace for 83 for the season. Major League record 67, held by Earl Webb back in 1931.
Earl Webb of the Red Sox.
Yes, he was. Ironically, the next year, 30 doubles. A far cry from that 67.
A former Philly, Marlon Byrd, is second in the National League with 16. Worth went around. 0-2. Worth has more doubles than singles this season.
He's having a heck of a season. It's going to be a tough call for the Phillies as far as will they be able to retain him. Jason Worth saying that he's open to listening to anything right now, but that he's played his whole career to get to this point as well. And that's the possibility of exploring the free agent market after this season. But he's made no secret that he loves Philadelphia, loves playing here.
Who's the guy on the left?
Is that Worthy?
Wow. That's a scoreboard shot.
That is some sort of difference.
His cell phone will ring in about 20 seconds. If anybody recognizes it.
Yeah.
Pitch was in the dirt. Polanco is in easily at second.
And you know, it's funny, that pitch barely made it to the dirt. I mean, that thing wasn't even close. Jason Varitek doing a nice job. You see where that thing just hung on to that too long.
The previous 10 pitches for Matsuzaka were all strikes.
Varitek doing a nice job of hustling. Polanco getting credit for his stolen base there. He was running on the pitch.
A 1-2 to Worth. Another pitch in the dirt. Worth did not go around, says Field and Culbreth. 2-2.
You know, interesting there, and it says something about Varitek and what he's trying to do. He comes right back with the same pitch that Daisuke just bounced about 7 feet in front of him. And he does that for a number of reasons. Probably the most important, though, is he wants Daisuke to be able to go to that pitch later in the game. Just because he threw a bad one, don't abandon it. Come right back, try and get the feel for it. And that's something a veteran catcher will do.
The 2-2. Worth gets the bat on it. Ellsbury in center. And Polanco is stranded on second. Still no hits for the Phils through 4. Baseball presented by Budweiser. Fox Saturday Baseball under the lights. A special primetime edition. As Marco Scutaro leads off for the Red Sox. And it's a fair ball down the left field line. Scutaro on his way to second. And he is in with a stand-up double. 5th hit of the game for Boston. So the Red Sox have the leadoff man on now for the 4th consecutive inning. Our Verizon game summary. Daisuke is not allowed a hit over the first 4 innings. Kyle Kendrick a run on 5 hits through the first 4 plus. And Jeremy Hermida drove in the game's only run so far with a sacrifice fly, scoring David Ortiz on a close play at the plate in the fourth. For more information on today's game and the latest in Major League Baseball news, log on to foxsports.com, powered by MSN, the world's favorite sports site. U.S. Terry Francona about Dice K's hitting and base running, and he mentioned that they prefer the pitchers to bunt, and that is what Dice K was looking to do right there.
Well, and you can bunt all you want when guys are throwing BP, and it's not the same as when you get into a game situation. Ball's moving a lot faster. It's difficult to do. And in this situation, if I'm the Phillies, I'm looking to prevent Scutaro to get to third. If I'm Ryan Howard and I'm playing first base, I'm starting right here. That's right. I'm not way back there. I'm starting there and saying, go ahead. You want to slash or pull the bat back, go ahead. But I'm going to be right in your grill, and I'm going to try and get the guy at third.
Howard creeping up a bit as Dice K lays down the bunt. Kendrick fields it barehanded, look towards third, throws to first. So Dice K does his job as the Red Sox play some National League Baseball.
Well, it's a nice bunt right there by Matsuzaka. The way Kendrick fields that, though, there's no way he's going to be able to go to third. He fields that and turns to his right, opening up. The only way you're going to make that play, you're going to have to get it and turn to the left. You see him heading over. Now turn that way. That way you're ready to throw. You've got that shoulder closed. But the minute you open up, then you've got to come back. You've got no chance.
First career sacrifice for Matsuzaka. And Scutaro now will take his lead off third with Jacoby Ellsbury at the plate. Ellsbury activated prior to tonight's game. He has flied out twice tonight. Red Sox designated Jonathan Van Every for assignment as they made room on the 25-man roster for Jacoby Ellsbury. Infield in as Ellsbury fouls it off to the left side. Ellsbury starting in center field tonight, but Terry Francona told the media before the game when Mike Cameron returns, when they are both in the lineup, Ellsbury would start in left and Cameron would play center field. Cameron with AAA Pawtucket on a rehab assignment, had the day off today, but is expected to play for the Paw Sox tomorrow. Ellsbury playing in only his 7th game. Cameron has played in 11 games for Boston. Two and two. Two balls, two strikes. Dustin Pedroia waiting on deck.
This pitch just missing off the plate inside. Going with a cutter right there. 3-2 will probably come back with that sinker that runs away from the left-handed hitter.
Ellsbury got a piece of it. Fouled it off his foot.
Went right back in there with the cutter again. That's the back leg. That's not even front leg. That's back left knee, which is difficult to do.
This is why Ellsbury was out of the lineup for the last 6 weeks. A collision with Adrian Beltre back on April 11th.
Yeah, that's a collision with a knee too. That's not running into a guy. And, you know, quite frankly, it's amazing he's back this soon.
Another foul.
They just keep going in on the inner part of the plate, trying to tie up Ellsbury. They don't want him to extend, don't want him to be able to get the the bat out so he can hit something up in the air, drive it to the outfield. Trying to keep it in on the hands, hopefully jam him.
Payoff pitch from Kendrick, ball 4. So the Red Sox have runners on the corners. Time for another DirecTV game break with Chris and Kevin. All right, Chris, and Dice K's bunt moves Scudero to third. That is where he is. Ellsbury over at first, following the second walk issued by Kendrick. So the Red Sox threatening here in the 5th inning. Runners on the corners, 1 out. Pedroia at the plate.
On Pedroia, 2 ground balls to the shortstop. One of them turned to a double play earlier tonight.
Chris told us about the Tampa Bay Rays leading the Astros 3-1. Rays continue to roll. 30 wins, first team to 30. Phillies have 26, second best record in all of baseball. They trail tonight 1-0. Top of the 5th inning, 1 out.
Well, and this is where the return of Ellsbury really makes a difference. They have to worry about him stealing. He has, as Terry Francona mentioned, game-changing speed. You know, basically just about any other Red Sox player you have out there, you can do the token throw over, but you don't really have to worry about him running.
There he goes. And the pitch is fouled off to the left side.
Well, that's the thing, too. It's not just that Ellsbury can run, but what it does to the pitcher and how that impacts his concentration on the player at the plate. You know, he's got to worry about Ellsbury running, not completely focused on what he's doing with Pedroia at the plate. You make a mistake to Pedroia, you can put that in the seats or hit it in the gap. So it's not just about actually stealing bases. It's what it does for the rest of the lineup.
Ellsbury holds. The 0-2 is popped into shallow right. And it's near the glove of Utley for out number 2. Boos continue to rain down from the crowd here in Philadelphia as J.D. Drew steps in. Drew is 1 for 2, singled back in the 4th inning.
Well, he was cheered here last night, though.
Yes.
Not for anything he did, what he didn't do. He didn't catch a fly ball in right field, lost it in the sky. Philly fans rewarded him with a cheer.
That hit by Drew back in the 4th inning, his first in his last 13 at bats, has a bit of a hip flexor problem. 1st and 3rd, 2 outs. Ruiz looked out to first as Ellsbury faked towards second.
Yeah, you know, he faked that. I'm not really sure I'd put him in motion right now. You've got that right side of the infield because Howard has to hold Ellsbury. You see all that. That's hitting area for J.D. Drew. He can pull it through that hole between first and second.
Kendrick missing inside, 2-1. Drew gets the bat on it, left field. Ibanez coming on, and he cannot make the catch. Scudero scores. It's an RBI for Drew, his 28th of the season, and the Red Sox take a 2-0 lead.
Well, J.D. Drew just pokes it out there. Ibanez does a nice job of keeping it in front of him. Able to recover. That ball gets by him. Ellsbury easily scores.
Third hit of the inning for the Red Sox. And now it's David Ortiz with runners on first and second and 2 outs. Phillies employing the infield shift.
Well, you see Howard way back on the grass. I'm sure he's happy that there's a runner down at second just for his own well-being. He doesn't have to hold the runner on at first. Look at that. Back on the grass.
And Ortiz rips it to the wall and right. Ellsbury scores. Drew holding at third. Ortiz in at second. It's an RBI double for David Ortiz, his 22nd run batted in. And the Red Sox lead is now 3-0.
Well, he's still swinging it. They tried to go inside, leaves that ball out over the plate. See Ortiz gets the barrel of the bat on the ball, and he's hustling from the get-go, thinking that Jason Worth may get that off the wall and throw it into second base. You can see Ortiz, he's moving right there.
Well, he's moving after a game earlier this week in New York where he was not moving out of the box and was thrown out at second.
Yeah, against the Yankees. Thought he hit a home run.
Pitching coach Rich Doobie out for a visit with Kendrick, who has allowed 2 runs on 3 hits and a walk here in the 5th inning. Well, next Sunday, NASCAR on Fox moves to Charlotte. Coverage of the Coca-Cola 600 from Charlotte Motor Speedway next Sunday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific in high definition right here on Fox. For more information, go to foxsports.com. The Coca-Cola 600 next Sunday. Here's Adrian Beltre. 1 for 2, doubled his last time up. Second and third with 2 outs. Both runs here in the 5th inning have scored with 2 outs. Drew with an RBI single. Ortiz with a run-scoring double. To Beltre, and he drills it into right center. 2 runs will score. It rolls to the wall. Beltre around second, and then he holds. Drew and Ortiz score. It's now 5-0 Boston. RBIs number 23 and 24 for Adrian Beltre. The Red Sox teeing off on Kyle Kendrick here in the 5th inning. Here comes Charlie Manuel. So that will be all for Kendrick. With the Red Sox leading by 5. Antonio Bastardo coming in from the Phillies pen. pitches in 4 2/3 innings. He's allowed 5 runs on 8 hits. He is responsible for the runner on second, Adrian Beltre, as Kendrick is replaced by 24-year-old left-hander Antonio Bastardo, making his 10th appearance this season.
His last outing gave up a home run to Chicago's Kosuke Fukudome.
Facing Jeremy Hermida, who takes strike 1. Hermida drove in the first Red Sox run in the 4th inning with a sacrifice fly. Boston has scored 4 here in the 5th on 4 base hits, a walk, and a sacrifice by Matsuzaka. Daisuke helping out his own cause. The 0-1 from Bastardo, and it's popped up in foul territory. The third baseman Polanco does not have room, lands in the second row behind the Red Sox dugout. 0-2.
Hermida's done a decent job filling in. Waiting now when Cameron does get back. Hasn't been anything outstanding, but he's been steady. Been a decent bat.
And Darnell McDonald did a nice job in center field with Ellsbury out.
Yes, he did.
Fastball missing away, 1-2.
See Bastardo rushing it up there at 94. He's been just dominant against left-handed hitters. 14 at-bats this year. He's only given up 2 hits.
Hermida down on strikes, but the damage has been done in the top of the 5th inning. The Red Sox with 4 runs on 4 hits off Kyle Kendrick in the 5th. They lead the Phillies 5-0. Bud Light Lime, the drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. Back in Philadelphia, Kenny Albert, Eric Karros, Fox Saturday Baseball in prime time. Red Sox leading the Phillies 5-0. Daisuke Matsuzaka has thrown 68 pitches over the first 4 innings, and he is not allowed to hit. Only 3 base runners for the Phillies so far.
Well, he's had real good stuff. He's been able to move it, the inner part of the plate, the outer part. Fastball's been live. You know, this is the important inning. He's got the cushion. He's got to just get the Phillies out, get back in that dugout. Don't give them any kind of life.
Raul Ibanez leading off. Ibanez walked back in the second inning. Matsuzaka retired Utley, Howard, and Worth in the fourth, all on fly ball outs. So now Ibanez, Ruiz, and Castro. Matsuzaka coming off that rough start on Monday in New York, allowed 5 first-inning runs. We've talked about the fact that he's had 1 bad inning in 3 of his 4 starts this year. Allowed 4 runs in an inning, 5 runs in an inning, 6 in an inning. If you take away those 3 innings, in the other 23 innings he has pitched this season, only 5 runs. But you can't take away those 3.
Can't take away those innings. Yeah. Well, and you know, the other interesting thing, and it will be a topic of discussion.
Think so?
If he continues to throw well, is the one game he did throw well was against Toronto. Veritek was behind the plate.
Ibanez, left center, long run for Ellsbury, makes the catch for out number 1. And that was the 1 start over his first 4 in which he did not allow a big inning, allowed only 1 run in that game in 7.
You know, and that's the last thing that Terry Francona wants to travel down as far as the personal catcher and I can only throw to this guy. Again, if that's the way that Matsuzaka feels, it is what it is. And maybe you do have to explore that.
Here's Carlos Ruiz. He takes a called strike. Ruiz grounded out to the shortstop his first time up. Well, the numbers do not lie. This is Matsuzaka's 78th career start with the Red Sox. Veritek has started 70 prior to tonight. And Matsuzaka's earned run average in those 70 starts, 3.99. It's a lot higher when Veritek's not behind the plate. 1-1 to Ruiz, high and tight, 2-1.
And maybe, you know, it's not a reflection on Victor Martinez or any of the other catchers. Maybe it's just acknowledging how good Veritek is behind the plate, what he brings to a game, his experience, his knowledge.
Left field, right to Hermida for out number 2. Well, Fox Sports is proud to team with the Breast Cancer Research Foundation during our 2010 MLB on Fox season. The Breast Cancer Research Foundation helps fund the most advanced and promising breast cancer research. Join the fight by texting CURE to 27722 to donate $10 or visit bcrfcure.org. Messaging and data rates may apply. And MLB is proud to support Stand Up to Cancer. Visit standuptocancer.org to learn how you can help us in the fight against cancer. Castro on the first pitch flies out to Ellsbury in right center. 5 hitless innings for Daisuke Matsuzaka here in Philadelphia. Ball presented by Budweiser is sponsored by Michelin, a better way forward. By Verizon, the network with the most 3G coverage. And by Chevy. Every model is backed by a $100,000 mile 5-year powertrain limited warranty. Bottom of the order for the Red Sox here in the top of the 6th inning. They lead the Phillies 5-0. Jason Varitek takes strike one from Antonio Bastardo, who came on with 2 outs in the 5th and struck out Jeremy Hermida. Red Sox with a run in the 4th, 4 runs in the 5th inning on 4 hits to knock Kyle Kendrick out of the game. Varitek making his 12th start behind the plate this season. Is 1 for 2 tonight and behind in the count, 0-2. Varitek down on strikes. Second strikeout for Bastardo.
It's just a breaking ball down and in. Varitek swinging over it. Still a nice night, 1 for 3. And look, it doesn't matter what he does at the plate. It matters what he does behind the plate. He's having a heck of a game so far.
And there's his battery mate on deck, who has done well at the plate tonight as well as on the mound.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Base hit, a sacrifice.
Marco Scutaro, first pitch, pops it up, foul territory. Out of play. You know, we've been talking about the relationship between Matsuzaka and Varitek. Varitek was one of his favorite players back in Japan. Before Daisuke came over to North America, he requested a jersey from Jason Varitek before they became teammates.
Well, and I'm sure after playing alongside and throwing to him, he's probably running around the house sometimes with that jersey on.
The 0-1 to Marco Scutaro in for a called strike. 0-2. Scutaro doubled. Leading off the 5th inning, came around to score the Red Sox second run. Nice production from the bottom of the order tonight. Three batters, 3 strikeouts for Bastardo as we check in once again with Chris Rose and Kevin Millar. Dessert number 1.
Chris doesn't miss his desserts, I'll tell you that.
It's a big weekend of ice cream for you here in Philadelphia.
It really has. The best ice cream going. Not afraid to put down about 3 cups during the game. I'll be back here in Philly in a few more weeks, too. Got that on the calendar.
Red Sox are in Philly for the 3rd consecutive year during interleague play. And they have won 10 of their last 14 in this ballpark. Red Sox were 11-7 against the National League last season. Phillies just 6-12 during interleague play last year. Here's the 0-2 to Matsuzaka. Now 1 ball, 2 strikes. Daisuke with a single, his first regular season base hit in his full-year career. Back in the 3rd inning, and then a sacrifice during the 4-run 5th.
He's not getting cheated up there. He's getting his cuts in there. There's some guys that'll just stand up there and take pitches, and then a feeble swing, but got that corkscrew swing, kind of lifts the leg and just spins.
Nice play by Bastardo, who retires the Red Sox in order in the 6th. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Budweiser from Philadelphia, where the Red Sox lead the Phillies 5-0. Bottom of the 6th inning. 5 runs on 8 hits for the Red Sox. No runs on no hits for the Phillies, who lead the National League in batting average. They are second in runs scored, 4th in hits, 3rd in home runs, but no hits so far tonight. And now Greg Dobbs will pinch hit for Antonio Bastardo. Dobbs just 1 for 16 as a pinch hitter this season.
Well, and he's been real effective for this Philly ball club the past few years, but yet to get on track. Pitch in a little bit at third base, plays the outfield.
1 for Matsuzaka, missing away, 1-1. Phillies have had 3 base runners. Polanco has walked twice, Ibanez once.
Well, really only 1 ball hit hard. Chase Utley lined out to Dustin Pedroia in the first. But Matsuzaka just kept them off balance all night long. Worked ahead in the count. He's thrown strikes.
He's retired 6 in a row, all fly ball outs to either left or center field. 1-2 to Dobbs, and that is strikeout number 5 for Matsuzaka.
Well, you see Jason Varitek calling for this pitch really out of the zone. And even if Dobbs catches up to it, more than likely he's going to pop that up. Really an excellent spot to throw an 0-2 pitch. Try to entice the hitter as he did right there. Dobbs swings right through it.
Look at the 16 outs recorded by Matsuzaka tonight. Here's Shane Victorino. Victorino fly to center in the first and grounded to third in the third.
He's really been doing well with that breaking ball, Matsuzaka, especially throwing it the first or second pitch, getting ahead in the count. Not very often will a hitter offer at a breaking ball in the first pitch.
0-2.
And especially when it's a good breaking ball. The guy goes up there and rolls one up there, doesn't have a lot of bite or something. Sure, the hitter jumps on it, but for the most part, when you're going up to the plate, you're saying, okay, I'm looking for a fastball. If they throw a good breaking ball, you just take it. You hope it's not a strike, but if it is, pitcher's got the advantage.
On the ground to the right side, Ortiz with the flip to Matsuzaka. And Victorino is out at first.
Well, a nice play by Ortiz. You see he ranges to his right, gets the ball, and the thing I like about it, he gets rid of it quick. A lot of first basemen will try and throw it to the bag and lead the pitcher. It's the last thing you want to do. You want to get it out of your hands and you get it to the pitcher so he catches it and then can take a few steps before he gets to the bag. Nothing tougher than trying to catch the ball and tag the base at the same time. Real nice play by Ortiz.
Again, David Ortiz playing first base for the first time this season. Played 6 games at first last season. So with 2 away, here's Placido Polanco, who has walked in both of his plate appearances tonight. First pitch. Back behind second, Scudero. And the Phillies are retired in the 6th. Will return after these messages from your local Fox station. look at 36-year-old right-hander Nelson Figueroa. He celebrated a birthday this past Tuesday. He went to spring training with the Mets. Pitched in 16 games, including 10 starts for the Mets last season. A 1998 graduate, Eric, of Brandeis University in Boston with a degree in American Studies. On to face the top of the order for the Red Sox, Jacoby Ellsbury. He is 0 for 2, walked and scored his last time up in the 5th inning. Ellsbury, Pedroia, and Drew for the Red Sox here in the 7th. Boston with a run in the 4th and 4 more in the 5th. To chase Kyle Kendrick. Phillies starter allowed 5 runs on 8 hits and 4 2/3. Antonio Bastardo retired all 4 Red Sox he faced. And now Ellsbury flies out to Ibanez in left. Next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, Albert Pujols and the Cardinals will take on the Cubs in a National League Central Division showdown. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Budweiser returns next week at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on Fox. St. Louis Cardinals lost to the Angels today 10-7. Cardinals started the day in first place for a half-game lead on the Cincinnati Reds, who are beating the Cleveland Indians 6-2 in the 8th. So the Reds with a chance to move into first place should they hold on to their lead.
Nice job by Dusty Baker and the crew out there. Yeah, that Central could really be up for grabs. I thought St. Louis had run away with it, but they've run into a bit of a tough stretch. Chicago and Cincinnati.
Cardinals and Cubs next Saturday on Fox. Reds and Cardinals currently tied atop the NL Central.
I think you look at that division. Milwaukee, I thought, was going to make a lot more noise. They really struggled. Trevor Hoffman struggling. Haven't been getting the starting pitching.
Lost to the Twins today, 8-7. Pedroia 0 for 3, has not hit the ball out of the infield tonight. Nice play by Utley for out number 2.
Well, not quite as acrobatic as what Pedroia did to Utley in the first inning, but Utley returning the favor. Ranging out onto the grass, showing a little depth in that jump there.
You talked earlier about Utley not having won a Most Valuable Player award yet, as J.D. Drew takes ball 1. Of course, Pedroia, the American League MVP in 2008, was the Rookie of the Year in 07. Only 2 other players in history won the Rookie of the Year award and an MVP in back-to-back seasons. The first was Cal Ripken Jr., and the other Ryan Howard. So 2 of the 3 are playing in this game. Rookie of the Year and MVP back-to-back seasons. J.D. Drew with 2 hits tonight. Bounces this one up the middle, backhanded by Utley. And the Red Sox are retired in order in the 7th. 7th inning stretch time here in Philadelphia. 5-0 Sox. By Denny's new 2468 value menu. All day, every day. By Minwax. Minwax bakes and keeps wood beautiful easily. And by Mobil One, the world's leading synthetic motor oil brand. Bottom of the 7th. Sure you can go for Hoagie right now.
Ooh, good
after 3 ice creams, right?
Yeah, you got to polish it off.
Matsuzaka's line tonight, 85 pitches over the first 6 innings. Facing the heart of the order, Utley, Howard, and Worth here in the 7th. Strike one to Chase Utley, who was 0 for 2. And you mentioned he was robbed of a base hit back in the first inning by Dustin Pedroia.
Pedroia made a great play. Again, though, Matsuzaka rolling that breaking ball up there. He's got the hitter 0-1. And he's been doing it all night long, working ahead with that breaking ball.
0-1, and Utley pops it up to the right side. Pedroia, the second baseman, is under it, and Utley is retired. Matsuzaka has now retired 10 consecutive Phillies. Well, visit your local Lowe's to cast your Scott's MLB All-Star ballot and enter for a chance to win a VIP All-Star Week experience. Compliments of Scott's. Charlie Manuel will be in Anaheim managing the National League All-Stars for the second consecutive July. Phillies have gone to back-to-back World Series, beating the Rays, losing to the Yankees. Here's Ryan Howard, who is 0 for 2. And he takes ball 1. One out, bottom of the 7th inning. 5-0 Red Sox. Red Sox infield in the shift against Ryan Howard. Howard did not go around, says Gary Cedarstrom. Now 2-1. One for Matsuzaka. Ground ball to the shortstop, Scudero, playing on the wrong side of second, and Howard is retired. So Howard grounds out into the shift.
Again, Matsuzaka keeping the hitters off balance. I think the key for him tonight so far has been his ability to get that breaking ball over. And I'll go back to that inning where he bounced the breaking ball about 7 feet, I should say, in front of the catcher. You see Howard just out in front, just all arms there. But he threw a breaking ball earlier in the game that bounced way in front of home plate, and Baratek called for the same pitch the very next pitch, and he did it to instill confidence in Matsuzaka and say, hey, who cares about that? You got. He's been using it the rest of the night and getting it over.
Jason Worth 0 for 2. Struck out and fly to center.
And that was a breaking ball again to start the hitter off.
Oh! The line drive right into the glove of Matsuzaka to end the inning. No hits through 7 for the Philadelphia Phillies. David Ortiz leading off for the Red Sox against Nelson Figueroa here in the top of the 8th inning. Red Sox lead the Phillies 5-0. Well, today's MLB on Fox Tune In to Win bonus question is, how many base hits will both teams combine for in this 8th inning? To answer, visit foxsports.com/tunein. Not at the game. Sign up today for next week's MLB on Fox game at foxsports.com/tunein.
Big Papi having a nice night tonight with that big double. His last at bat, walk, handling himself well out at first base.
Ortiz down on strikes. First strikeout for Figueroa.
This pitch just ties him up right here, up in the zone. Can't catch up to it. Again, why that pitch is so effective, it's about eyesight for the eye level, I should say, for the hitter. The hitter, you think, yeah, I'm going to get that. I get that up in the air. That thing's going, but very tough to catch up to a good high fastball.
So with one away, here's Adrian Beltre, and he takes a called strike. Beltre with a pair of doubles tonight. A 2-run double back in the 5th inning, extending the Red Sox lead to 5-0.
Watch the feet right there, Adrian Beltre.
The 2-1. Beltre gets the bat on it, fouled off to the right side. Now 2-2.
Well, Beltre right now with only 3 home runs. And he's a guy that can still hit 25 to 30. 1 year in LA, I think 48, I believe.
Castro, 2 out. At the time, those 48 home runs were the all-time record by a third baseman until Alex Rodriguez hit 52 in 2007. So Beltre held the record for 2 full seasons, and then it was broken by A-Rod. 2 outs. Here's Jeremy Hermida, who is 0 for 2 with a sacrifice fly. Drove in the Red Sox first run back in the 4th. Looking ahead, Phillies will have Ibanez, Ruiz, and Castro due up in the bottom of the 8th against Matsuzaka, who has not allowed a base hit.
I'm going to say it. If you haven't allowed a base hit, that means you got a no-hitter going.
Yes, you do.
A no-hitter.
Base hit into left field for Hermida. Well, in the first week of Fox Saturday Baseball, back on April 10th, CC Sabathia no-hit the Tampa Bay Rays for 7 2/3 on Fox. Here's Jason Varitek, who has caught a record 4 no-hitters during his career. No other catcher in baseball history has been behind the plate for as many as 4. Nice play by Howard. We head to the bottom of the 8th. Ibanez, Ruiz, and Castro due up for the hitless Phils. by Budweiser is sponsored by Sears Blue Lawn and Garden Crew, by DirecTV for the most sports, period, and by Lexus. Unprecedented access means unprecedented values now through June 1st. Here in Philadelphia, Daisuke Matsuzaka has thrown 93 pitches through 7 innings. He has retired 12 consecutive Phillies. There is Kevin Youkilis, inserted into the game by Terry Francona to play first base here in the bottom of the 8th inning with Raul Ibanez leading off. Ibanez 0 for 1 with a walk. 3 Phillies have reached base. Ibanez walked in the second. Polanco has walked twice. The 1-0 from Matsuzaka. Ball 2. Matsuzaka's longest career start without allowing a base hit. His previous long, September 15th last year against the Angels. The first batter in the 5th inning, single. The 2-0 in the dirt, 3-0.
Well, interesting. The first 3 pitches, all fastballs. And previously, what he had done, at least the first or second pitch, he'd start the hitter off with a breaking ball. He'd be getting that pitch over, working ahead in the count. I don't know if he's starting to think what's going on out there. You see Veritek trying to calm him down.
Here's the 3-0 to Ibanez, in for a called strike, 3-1. Pitching coach John Farrell. Remember, 93 pitches through 7. 5th pitch of this at bat. And number 98 in the game, Ibanez, swing and a miss, full count.
Throwing all fastballs this at bat to Ibanez. Throw a breaking ball here, you absolutely freeze him. You mentioned the pitch count. It's getting to a point where, what are you going to do? You got the no-hitter going, you get into a high pitch count.
Pitch number 99 of the evening. Ibanez draws a leadoff walk.
And he went with it. He went with the breaking ball right there.
Tremendous Red Sox defense tonight. First inning, Utley lines into a double play. Then in the 6th, Victorino ground ball to the right side. Ortiz with the flip to Matsuzaka covering. Here's Carlos Ruiz, and the first pitch is in for strike 1. And then the final out of the 7th inning. How about this snag by Matsuzaka off the bat of Worth?
Just reaction right there. Sticks the glove up, and look what I found.
Ibanez takes his lead off first, and Ruiz takes ball 1. Now 1-1. So Matsuzaka helping his own cause at the plate and in the field tonight.
They're having a nice game, but he knows what's going on right now, and that was very apparent with Ibanez up at the plate with a 5-0 lead, 3-2 pitch, throws a breaking ball, trying to obviously preserve the no-hitter. Normally with a 5-0 lead, you're just pumping a fastball in there.
1-1 to Ruiz, foul back to the screen, 1-2.
And what I like what he has done with Ruiz, Veritek called for that breaking ball in the very first pitch. And what did he do? He threw that breaking ball, got it over for a strike. Again, I think that's why he's been most effective tonight, able to get that breaking ball over early in the count.
Juan Castro waiting on deck. The 1-2 to Carlos Ruiz. Matsuzaka missing away. 2-2.
And this is what makes it so difficult. That, you know, he's aware of what's going on. He's trying to be too fine now, trying to be too perfect. See that Boston bullpen up.
The 2-2. What a stand by Beltre. Fires across. Double play. One pitch, 2 outs.
That, my friends, is what you call run prevention right there. Beltre, one of the best defensive third basemen in the game. Saw those feet up at the plate dancing around, even quicker feet right there. And then gets up with a strong arm, able to get Ibanez. You don't think Matsuzaka knows what's going on.
Juan Castro, ball 1.
You know, just offhand, if I'm correct, I would believe that he's become the second Japanese pitcher. Hideo Nomo threw one for us in Los Angeles against the Colorado Rockies at Coors Field.
And also for the Red Sox in 2001.
In Camden Yards, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I talk about two difficult places to throw a no-hitter. Coors Field, that was pre-Humidor. Of course, Camden, nice place to hit.
There have been 2 no-hitters in the major leagues this season. Ubaldo Jimenez of the Rockies against the Braves. And Dallas Braden, a perfect game for the Oakland Athletics against the Tampa Bay Rays. The 1-1 to Castro. Missing low and away. Now 2-1. In case you joined us late, Castro getting a start tonight. Phillies have once again placed Jimmy Rollins on the disabled list. Re-injured his right calf in last night's game. Ross Glode has come out into the on-deck circle to pinch hit for the pitcher, Nelson Figueroa. Three-one to Castro, a bloop, and a base hit. Just out of the reach of the shortstop, Scudero.
Well, it seems somewhat appropriate that a base hit to break up the no-hitter would be a flare after some of the great plays this Red Sox ball club has made. This off the end of the bat. Scudero looks like he has a beat on it. Just overruns it a bit. See if it goes behind the glove. Good effort, though.
So the first base hit of the game for the Phillies with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th inning. And now the pinch hitter Glode takes strike 1. Matsuzaka was 4 outs away. Runner goes, no throw from Veritek. After the play Matsuzaka made on Worth in the 7th, and then the play we saw Beltre make here in the 8th. I'm sure most people in this ballpark thought that it might be in the cards tonight.
Well, regardless, Matsuzaka is throwing a great ball game. And that's something that this Red Sox ball club needed.
One hit through 8 as Globe flies out to Drew in right. Juan Castro breaks up the no-hitter after 7 2/3.
Castro here, the little bloop hit. Watch Matsuzaka. He's watching. Very stoic, though. Not a lot of emotion. Veritek watches the same way. If you don't think the other players aren't excited, look at Beltre. Look at that hop. Oh, no. Oh, man. Oh, darn it. When you're out there playing, you want that no-hitter almost as bad as the pitcher. Maybe even worse.
David Herndon out to pitch here in the top of the 9th. For the Phillies, with Scudero leading off. And Mike Lowell has come out into the on-deck circle to bat for Daisuke Matsuzaka. '15th appearance for Herndon, who is a Rule 5 draft pick off the roster of the Los Angeles Angels. We've been talking about Veritek and the fact that he has caught 4 no-hitters, most in history by a catcher. Hideo Nomo in April of 2001. Derek Lowe in April of 2002. Played Buchholz in September of 2007. And John Lester in May of 2008.
But again, it's not just about the pitcher having great stuff there. The catcher has to realize, you know, what's working, what's not working, how to set up hitters. That has a lot to do with it. And that's, again, I'll guarantee you there will be questions about, you know, should Veritek be the guy to catch Matsuzaka? And right now, you know, Matsuzaka's feeling great about himself. I'm not sure that he could have said that over the last few outings. You see Victor Martinez. And it has nothing to do with any other catcher's ability. What it has to do with is a comfort level throwing to Veritek.
pitchers who have thrown those no-hitters, at least 3 out of the 4 have presented something, some kind of memento to Jason Varitek in honor of those no-hitters. Hideo Nomo presented Varitek with a game ticket and a crystal. Varitek has home plate from Derek Lowe's no-hitter against the Devil Rays in 0-2. As Scudero flies out to Ibanez in left. John Lester presented Varitek with the pitching rubber.
Man, who wants like the rubber and home plate and all that? You know, it's like in football when the guy rushes for 1,000 yards or something, or doesn't he buy the lineman all Rolexes or something? I mean, you never hear about him giving him an autographed football or something, or
sometimes they bring the lineman along to the Pro Bowl in Hawaii.
Yeah, do something like that. Nobody needs a beat-up old home plate or a pitching rubber. Shoot, you get that down at a sporting goods store.
Well, Varitek said he's still waiting for something from Buchholz, so perhaps you've given him some ideas.
Shoot. Give me a watch.
Here's Mike Lowell pinch hitting for Dice K. Only 63 at-bats so far this season for Mike Lowell. But the story of this game, Daisuke Matsuzaka did not allow a hit over 7 2/3. The no-hitter broken up by Juan Castro, the number 8 hitter in the Phillies lineup, with a bloop single just over the outstretched glove of the shortstop Scudero, with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Well, and that's the thing, too. He's done this against a ball club. This isn't the Houston Astros that is a struggling offensive team. Matsuzaka has come in and one hit a ball club that, from a slugging standpoint, first in the National League, on base percentage first, average first, runs second. I mean, this is the top offensive team in the game in the National League.
Ball 1 to Jacoby Ellsbury, 0 for 3 with a walk tonight on his return from the disabled list. Congratulations to Matthew, Jim, and Kirsten for winning today's MLB on Fox Tune In to win. Visit foxsports.com/tunein to see your results. If you missed this week's game, make sure to play next week. Bounce to the right side. Utley gets the out at second, not in time at first. So now 2 away here in the Red Sox 9th. Next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, it will be the Cardinals and the Cubs in a National League Central Division matchup. Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Budweiser, returns next week at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on Fox. And primetime baseball will return to Fox on Saturday, June 26th. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. Yankees and Dodgers, Red Sox at the Giants, and the Battle of Chicago between the Cubs and the White Sox. Primetime baseball returns to Fox on Saturday, June 26th. Pedroia with a drive to deep center field. Victorino has it on the warning track. So we head to the bottom of the 9th here in Philadelphia. 1 hit for the Phils. It's the Red Sox by 5. the bottom of the ninth inning. The Phillies' one hit came with 2 outs in the 8th off our Lexus Hybrids game-changing player, Red Sox starter Daisuke Matsuzaka.
They really stepped up today. This is coming off an outing. We gave up 5 runs in the first, hadn't been throwing well, just shut out and dominated a Phillies lineup today. One of the best offensive teams in baseball. Working with that breaking ball, a good fastball, some fine defensive plays. Boston faithful have to be happy with what they've seen tonight from Daisuke Matsuzaka.
112 pitches, and now Daniel Bard comes out of the pen to pitch the ninth, facing the top of the order, Shane Victorino. Leading off, Victorino is 0 for 3. The last time the Phillies were no-hit, Eric, back in 1988 by Pascual Perez of the Expos, but it was only a 5-inning no-hitter. The last complete game no-hitter against the Phillies, Bob Forsch in St. Louis back in April of 1978. So the Phillies have not been no-hit over the course of a complete game in over 32 years. And the last complete game no-hitter against the Phillies here in Philadelphia, Bill Stoneman of the Expos in April of 1969. Last time the Phillies were no-hit over the course of a complete game here at home. The Pascual Perez 5-inning no-hitter took place at the Vet back in '88.
People might recognize that name too. Bill Stoneman, later the general manager of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, architect of that World Championship Ball Club.
And you look at some of the other names of pitchers who have no-hit the Phillies throughout their history. Full count now. Victorino, Sandy Koufax back in '64. Warren Spahn no-hit the Phillies in 1960. Lou Burdett.
That's 3 lefties right there.
Yep. And a favorite of yours threw the first no-hitter against the Phillies back in 1900.
Is he a lefty?
As Victorino rounds out to Pedroia.
Lefty Grove?
He was a lefty. Pitch for the Reds, Noodles Hahn.
Noodles Hahn.
The first pitcher to no-hit the Phillies back in July of 1900. Coming up, following the Red Sox and the Phillies on Fox, late local news, the Wanda Sykes Show, and Brothers. Check local listings. With one away, here's Placido Polanco. And he takes a called strike. On the ground to Pedroia once again. Red Sox 1 out away from their 4th victory in the last 5 games. Terrific job by our entire crew tonight here in Philadelphia, led by our producer Carol Langley McDermott, director John Moore, associate director Kathy Hunt, broadcast associate Andy Kavanaugh, our technical producer Matt Benedict, pregame show produced by Don Bowie. The highlights coordinator is Janice Casaza. Technical supervisor is Jack Simmons. The senior vice president of field operations is Jerry Steinberg. The senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown. The executive producers are David Hill and Ed Gorin. Thanks to Marty Aronoff and Scott Ahrens here in the broadcast booth.
Thank the guys back in the studio for what a job they've done tonight.
Absolutely. Chris and Kevin finishing up dessert number 3.
I hope they both get stomach aches.
You know, Kevin's going to join us on the road and do your job.
Oh, he's coming out amongst the people? I like it.
Season.
Good, I like that.
Chase Utley was robbed back in the first inning. The line drive, which was caught by Pedroia, turned it into a double play. 4 outstanding defensive plays made by the Red Sox tonight, including one by Matsuzaka for the final out of the 7th inning. It will be Roy Halladay for the Phillies, Tim Wakefield for the Red Sox here tomorrow in the series finale. What a performance tonight by Daisuke Matsuzaka. 7 2/3 innings of no-hit ball. Ron Castro with the only hit of the game for the Phils. Jimmy Rollins told him he could do it.
He did. Telling him to try and yank one out of the park. Didn't quite get it deep enough, but it was effective to break up the no-hitter. And you see Jimmy Rollins tossing up the long.
We thank Jimmy for wearing a microphone for us tonight. Jimmy back on the DL. Utley awaiting the 2-2 from Bard. Pedroia. That will do it. Only one hit for the Phillies tonight. The Red Sox score 4 in the 5th, but the big story, Daisuke, 7 2/3 innings of no-hit ball. For Eric Karros, Kenny Albert saying so long. Stay tuned for Chris Rose and Kevin Millar from our studio coming up after these messages.